Yeah, so is maybe there a way, rather than recording an offset and just saying yes or no, which is basically what that 0 and 1 is, we actually did a divide to work out. I'm going to have to get the pseudocoding out again in a sec. Because we know the cam X, and we know the player's screen position X. X is in metacells, yeah? And PX is in pixels. We want to know, does it exactly line up with 16, basically? And if not, then we're in the second lot of tiles, aren't we? Second column. Do you see what I mean? But my brain's not quite good enough to just know how to do that straight away. I can think of it in my head, but not exactly how to do it. I think the number 16 has something involved. Is it CamX plus PX divided by 16? Of course, I'm going to struggle here, ain't I? Because you can't do a decimal point. How do you know if that's true? If it is divisible by... Basically, there'll be a carry bit and it won't be set, won't it? That'll be what it is. I would have thought. Oh, I am getting dropped frames. Just one warning. And with 16 greater than 0. Oh, okay, and with 16, 0 means we are still in the frame. Really? Because let's start trying to write it then. We'd have like check meta column. We'll know what that means. Either going to be a 0 or 1. Or in fact, well, yeah, it'll be a 0 for... Yeah, we'll figure that out in a minute. It's either like a yes, no, or a 0, 1, or whatever. If it is 1, then in a fraction. CamX. See, really, we want CamX times 16. Plus PX divided by 16. I wonder, can you do that on the next now? Just load an 8-bit value in like that. Better watch some more. I don't know, you might be right. To be honest, I'm just dabbling with this idea. The idea we've got works perfectly, except for when you turn. I think if this is still a 1, when you turn... Then again, that's probably right, actually. We want to actually maintain that, to be honest. So that... I don't know, actually. Maybe it wants to invert. We want to invert that, don't we? When we actually switch direction. Alright, let's put that on the back burner for a minute, this bit here. I guess that would be like calculate. It means about the same thing, but... Actually, let's just delete it. I don't like it. Yeah, so in my mind, we've got to invert this. When we start to turn to scroll left for the first time. Stream elements. I mean, I could do scroll left. Scroll left. Hold on. Is this necessary? Scroll left start. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. Because this gets called from inside the player routine when we try and move left, but we're at that position in the screen. Here we set the direction to left, look. So if we first check the scroll direction, is it left already? And if it is, jump to here. I don't know, I never know what to call these things. So here we set it to be left. Now we can invert the offset. Meta tile offset. It's only going to either be a 0 or a 1, isn't it? I know there's a quick way to invert it, but I've forgotten. Is it just or? I'm not sure. I might have to quickly look these up. I always have to look these up. Probably X or. I mean, I could just do that, can I? Alright, let's do the same thing for the right scroll. Oh, this one's a bit more complicated, look. Tiny bit more. Got quite a lot more there, hasn't it? That's okay. Not that it matters having this above that, but I like it the same as the other one. Okay. So as far as I can tell, I've made this happen just one time. If we're not already scrolling in that direction. And if not, it just carries on as normal. That may or may not fix the problem. It just seemed like that was the problem. Well, that certainly seemed a bit better. Yeah, so what had happened was, if this was... Oh no, it hasn't fixed it, look, down there. Oh, that's a shame. It felt smoother as well. But if you think about it, if you're in the like second column on the right, then you definitely want to load the first column from the left when you go left, don't you? So I would have thought that I had fixed it actually. Yes, it's down here that it checks it. The meta-tile offset. It's frustrating because we had this problem before, although we weren't using meta tiles at the time. And Emu knew straight away what it was. Took seconds to fix. It's done it again there. Look. It's hard to see what's actually happening. Oh yeah. Oh, thanks Specky Nut. Thank you very much, my man. It looks like it's loading the leftmost column when we really want the right. Just one time though. If I get really stuck, I can watch that video back. I think it was the first one where I said that scrolling was fixed. So I might be able to see that. It seems like it only happens on the left. Try and figure that out as well a sec. Right. Yes, it has messed up that. Then that. Alright, okay. And then right. I think right's okay. I'm a bit stuck with that. I don't know where to start with that one. It's something probably to do with Cam X in actually. See, we decrement it there. We decrement it there, which is right after the second load of columns. That's only the right edge part though. Do we sync up the two? Yes, we do, right there. No. Oh yeah, we do. Ah, that might need... No, that's going to be okay. It was weird how it only happened sometimes. I just wonder if I get cam edge sub 1 before I do this. See what the hell happens with that. Didn't look right, there was some jerky movement there. It chops off that last column. And then this still does that as well, which is very odd. Maybe they're two different problems. I just want to see what happens if I do add A1 there instead. How can it be exactly the same? That's so strange. It's not, right, okay. I actually think cam edge was in the right place. It's okay to do that. The way it is. This was a tough problem to start the day with. Might be with us a while, this problem. I'd say the problem occurs after this call here. But only when this gets called, I should say. So it's where we actually put in the column. But maybe not. Maybe it is this bit here where we do the whole oh wait, yeah. Yeah, it could easily be that, couldn't it? Left scrolling is confusing. Drawing a new column too soon. I think we draw it at the right moment, but it takes it from the wrong place. It like copies. Because oh, I see what you mean. Maybe the offset was already wrong. It's very odd. I don't know where to start with debugging this, to be honest. I need to turn that overlay off from G-Force. It's absolutely doing my head in. Another time maybe. They don't even make that easy. Alright, okay. What could be the problem there? The only thing I can do right now is try and look at the exact precise moment the problem arises. It's really difficult though. So scrolling right was all okay. Turning left, hit the little scroll line out here. That bit we just saw scroll in was the bit that was in the clipping pane. That had already been rendered. So this next bit we're about to see is the bit we've pulled from that routine. And there we go, we've got something incorrect. Yeah, look, it's taking the leftmost column. It needs to take the leftmost column -1. But annoyingly, that only happens when you first start. That's the weird bit. Look, now I'm holding left and it's fine, you know. I'm not gonna understand them other bits either that keep bugging out the same bits. I think that's something separate. Right, what happened there then? This just scrolls it all. I kind of think that does work now at this moment. Because the scroll does work when you're holding it in. But at some point, exactly here, it goes through the map. It uses our X pos of the camera. So what it thinks HL is putting at is the top left cell in meta tiles. That's probably what our problem is. I haven't calculated it in meta, probably. This is the top left screen memory cell of the tile map. So not our defined map, it's the actual map on the screen. That's an iterator. And that checks what column we're in. As a quick test, I'm doing sub 1 there. Need to watch a few values. Yeah, but which ones? That's what I've kind of been wondering. Oh, look at that. Oh, we still got this bug here that I said might have been something different. And that was a bit of a weird transition. That's much better though. So that -1 was all that was needed for that. God no. Oh, that's buggered as well. Ah, that is the actual 0 though. I didn't take that into account when I'd just done sub 1 there. If you're at 0 and you sub 1, then that's no good. Do you know what I mean? I need to not sub 1 if it's 0. What a bummer. I don't know an easy way to do that either without making a label. I still don't quite know why I have to sub 1 either. And I know why that's buggered up now. Because it was subbing 1 the whole time. And that's why we got that bit at the end. Well, you're not going to see it now because I've just removed the sub 1. But over here, it was actually redrawing. It was redrawing that from the left. That's why. I believe. So maybe we only need to sub. So it was like I said a minute ago. Cam X is just temporarily wrong. Perhaps if I put this at the top. You never know, that might do it actually. I don't think that's going to make any difference. I've said that a lot of times and it has though, so. No, look, it's back to how we had it a minute ago. It doubles up the leftmost column. I have no clue what's happening with this flipping thing. But on a positive note, we had this exact problem where it was doubling up the leftmost column before. And it was one line to change it. Let's try not flipping that offset thing. So the offset just remains the same even when we change direction. I don't think that's going to be the right way of going about it, but see if it makes much difference. Strange. It's definitely not right. I think I definitely preferred it. I think that should be there, is what I mean. Oh, it's really tempting to go and find that bit of the video, but it will take quite a long time to go through all the videos. I remember it was at the end of that one where Emook was really helping. And it was just a very quick thing. It just done that and he said, oh, that's caused by this. And then it was fixed. And I actually understood what it was at the time. I can sort of remember thinking, oh, I never would have found that. It's when we start to scroll, isn't it? That's when it's really happening. Something's wrong. Only when we start it. I wonder what's the best way to test this. The math problem. 16-bit sub. I need to sort out a bit of the map out. I don't think this particular problem was actually. It was like. It was nothing to do with me using sub wrong anyway. I don't think. It was something that. I can't remember, unfortunately, mate. The good thing is it's definitely there recorded on one of the videos, so I can go and look and find it. I've got to sort out a bit of the map out that looks glitched. Alright, that should be at least a bit better. Yeah. Oh, you see that glitch as well? It's when it turns. Is the offset wrong? Ooh. Maybe the offset is wrong. Not this offset. I mean, current scroll. Interesting. Current scroll. I think that's why it is glitching. It's something to do with current scroll. If we're halfway through the routine, current scroll only gets set back to 0 when you get to the very end of the column. So you've got a 1 in 8 chance of that being set to the right amount. Of course, once you begin scrolling and can continue to, this will continue to be okay then. I do think we've hit the nail on the head here, but I don't know how to fix it. We're missing a piece, yeah. Do you get what I mean, what I just said there though? I think that is the key. If you imagine you're on scroll 4, so you're halfway through it and you're moving right. So that's shifted the tile map left 4 tiles, hasn't it, in the background behind you. And then we turn left. We move over to it. But I thought that's what this subbing was about instead of just inking it. Pair 8. So this time we subtract current scroll from 8 rather than just adding it to 0. Does current scroll need to be like flipped? That was your thinking, yeah? I'm doing some more stupid pseudocode here, I think. I'm going to go... So that's like a left tile. That's a right. If we're on... No, that would be 4, wouldn't it? See? It's confusing. If we're going right and we're off current scroll 4, it's gone 1. So that'd be 3, sorry, yeah. 7 would be the max up here. I think. God, it's really hard to tell. I think it's the other way around actually. So 0, 3, 7. So we start there, yeah. And as the scroll offset goes up, we start seeing it move to the left. So we see more and more of them. So that seems right to me. So when we're going left, oh, it's confusing, isn't it? Yeah, when we go left, look what we're doing. We're adding this to 8 and subtracting it all of a sudden. So let's say it was 3. This time we want 8 minus 3. Which is obviously 5, 7, 6. Would be there, yeah? Confusing as hell. I'm 90% sure this is why though. That's why we see that little jump when we turn. And that's obviously causing the tile map to go out of sync as well, I think. But I'm damned if I know how you fix it. Hmm. I really don't know. Um, it doesn't seem to work when you look at it and you compare it to that. For example, if we were on 3, I think the right side seems logical. If we're on 3, we see these extra pixels. It gets really confusing because you say it's moving right, but the actual background moves left, doesn't it? But if it was 3 and this was correct, then we do load A scroll ink A. So we now have 4. Compare with 8. Load BA, yeah. So B is 4. Load A8. So then we'd have 4. Ah, yeah, maybe that would work actually. That would work, wouldn't it? So we'd have 3 there and 3 there. Okay. Huh. It's really hard to watch the values because it's hard to know which one to watch and at what exact point to get it. When you're talking about pixels moving about at one frame of time, it's really hard to get that. Hmm. Don't know, maybe I should stick with just not having scroll left for the time being. Although, like I say, I found that other problem that we're running out of sprite space. There's no way of having the club throwing animation. We could, of course, have clubs. I actually think, if you look at the player, I think his chest is the anchor, and that his arms are composite sprites with rotation applied or something. If you look, I'm not sure the chest changes much. And it would use up a lot less space, of course, if you were only moving the arms. Or only switching frames for arms. You wouldn't even be doing that, you'd just be moving them. Well, they are redrawn actually. They're not the same. But yeah, long story short, they're using up a lot of space. We're already using up half of the sprite space just for him. I'm very, very worried about getting this working. We do change his X position But we don't actually change the camera position, if you know what I mean. We don't change the view. We only change his PX value. And that's because it does actually get... His relative sprites get shifted. It's a tricky problem, this, because we just move. We know it all works when you move in right. Then you start pressing left. And one of these keyboard things here calls left start, look. And left start makes us move left. Update. It's a bit funky way of doing that. Here's where we start moving left. At this point here, we're checking that's where we check his PX. Here we've already moved it, so I can't really see how that would affect the scrolling. Because when we check it here, we check if he's at the scroll marker. That +1 might have something to do with it. I don't think it is. But... No, in fact, the +1's there because we're doing a compare, and one is doing more than or equal, and the other one only does less than. Yeah, still knackered them two up. Yeah, it's knackered. So that +1 is because of that being a C. What we really wanted to know is it less than or equal to that. No, it definitely does shift him a bit. But like I say, it's only shifting his screen position. It's not that important for the screen rolling, the scrolling routine. Because that's based mainly on the cam X. I really don't get it, guys. Sometimes you just have to accept defeat on these things. Sometimes if you're really lucky, you learn from what you've done here and you just try and redo it in a different way, you know. And the next time you just don't get that bug if you're lucky, because you just don't make the same mistake. Because a lot of this could be tidied up. Ped7G's pull request or whatever it's called on GitHub, I made a mistake. I got it onto my system. I tried to take it in and I had it all working, and then I tried to merge them and it just put it back. It put back my code how it was, so oh well. But he used a load of LDIs to simplify these put column, and that might have made fixing this problem a bit easier. It's still there on GitHub. I can get it back. Yes, this is a tough one. Because it's only getting the wrong one when we're first scrolling. It must be like this, I would have thought. Maybe if not, it's this. I know I'm going mad and just trying the same stuff again, but I'm going to try without flipping that offset then. Excuse me. Oh, it's even worse. It's just so weird that it works fine after that. Or maybe it's not working fine. Maybe that's what that glitch there is about. I'm not sure what values to look at in the debugger to find that. I'm not sure how to check that. I think that will tell us if I go all the way to the end without going left. Right, now we'll see how many cock-ups it gets. Lots. Alright, okay, so it's not just when it starts. The whole time. That's good. That's good to know. Oh, that is probably because of this offset thing. I don't think there's another direction value, mate. I don't think so. Because we've got the up, down, jump direction, but that's absolutely nothing to do with the scrolling. I just want to go to the end of the level now. I've got them offsets flipping again, the way I thought it should have been to start with. See if that mistake happens the whole time. Okay, it looks like it still is. Yeah, it is. So, at least we found out it's happening every put column. Yeah. And it's so weird how it was only at the edge of the platforms. It made it fool me. But I think that's just because it's copying the leftmost column when it shouldn't be. It should be getting the one to the left. So that sub one I done earlier was probably a good idea actually. Here. Do left scroll. So we load A with CamX. Thing is that's in meta tiles, isn't it? Oh yeah, but we're looking at the meta level actually, so that's fine. Yeah, I want to be one meta tile to the left. If it's 0, if it's 0, we'll jump to here. It's getting messy now, this code. Alright, so now we sub 1 if it's not 0. I don't think this will be right because I copied this from the working one, this left scroll. But of course it was working, but without meta tiles. Oh, that's knackered already, look. Seems like the exact same problem. Oh well. That's not the answer then. I think they need to be the other way around, these as well, actually. It's definitely not working. I put it back to how it was. Got something to do with that stupid offset, hasn't it? Knowing which column it's in. Let's get rid of the clipping plane. It's an absolute git. Oh, see that weird jump? Never that then. Put that right for a start. But if you think about it, you do need to do it in reverse. So maybe just reversing that would be fine, wouldn't it? Definitely do need to do it in reverse, but there's probably more to it than that. Oh, now the collision's knackered. Crazy. I find that weird how that would do all that difference. I'm tempted to delete the routine and try again. The annoying thing of doing that is it'll end up looking almost identical. Probably still won't work. Whoa, no, another Mega Raid. Hello, Shalan. Thank you. Hello, Chromo. Good to see you, dude. I'm having a major struggle here. I did have it working a minute ago. How's everyone doing? Hope you're all well. Bit of ZX next, yeah. I was just considering then just forgetting left scrolling and not allowing it. The clipping plane is turned off at the moment because I'm trying to. I've got this problem here. There. Right. It does look pretty fancy, doesn't it? I thought that. I've got it's quite a big sprite. He's actually a bit too big. I've used up a lot of the data there, but he's a 3x3, and they're 16 each. So it is working nice. The collision, as long as we only go right. As soon as we scroll left, things do start to go wrong. I might turn the clipping pane back on in a minute so we don't get that horrible stuff at the side. But yeah, this is working pretty sweet. But I just can't let that left part beat me, you know? It's like, it's really annoying me. As soon as we go left. Did you see that little skip as well? It's something to do with the offset. They're in meta tiles. Does it construct the level? Yeah, basically. Yeah, but there's more than one offset, sadly. There's a tile offset telling you which. So imagine a meta tile is like 2x2 like that. Each one of them being one tile. So this offset here is telling us which column we're in, 1 or 0. But then to make matters worse, when you're coming left, you've actually got to do the latter one first. Do you know what I mean? And then inside the level map, this is where it's recorded just in meta. So these are like all little, they're all 4x4, 2x2. There's your little game world down there. It's dead close to working, but just not quite. It's a real bummer. Yeah, we've been talking about debugger, but I'm trying to figure out what to watch in the debugger, you know. Like I say, it all works, but it's only when you start to scroll left, that offset thing where it you see the map jump for a little bit. Here's where we scroll left, and here is where it gets to the end of the column of tile. You know, it's offset one full cell. Z80, yeah. Got to be done on it. I do love the language. It's fun. Assembly. Proper Z80, not that Game Boy crap. I mean, this is kind of crazy, this, because you can do like add HLA and stuff like that. It's like with the ZX Next, you got to multiply, command, got everything. But still Z80. I mean to learn 6502 someday, but I need to try and like get my head around this one first before I skip on to the next one. Is it easy? Do you know I spent like half a day trying to do it on the Commodore, but I couldn't, so I gave up and went back to the Spectrum. We did have some frame lines, we can still put them back in. Ped kindly helped us with that. But that's only for the tiles. like I said, the collision's pretty much pixel perfect. But I knew I was asking for trouble trying to scroll left. I knew it. I'm gonna get that clipping panel back on. Good night, Shalan. Thanks for jumping in with that raid, man. That was mega. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hope to see you again soon. Oh, I just completely forgot what I was about to do then. Yes and no, Chroma. That's the hard bit about that. Sometimes, and I think it depends on that offset. If you happen to be at 0 out of 8, then it's okay. But look, it's one tile out, isn't it? In fact, one meta tile out, I think, and it's also drawing the wrong column. Yeah, so it's drawing the second column, like where my left foot is now. That column under my foot is getting drawn again in error. Change the map. I was thinking about that as well, actually. Yeah, why is it drawing that tile? Let's have a look. Here's where I try and get the correct column. And isn't it strange how it is only when you go and first go left that it does that? It seems to shift everything out by 1. I actually tried subbing 1 here just as a test. It kind of felt a bit better, but I don't know. I do need to use the debugger, but like I said a minute ago, I was struggling to figure out what to look for in the debugger. So. But yeah, then we get a slightly different error with sub 1. Just out of interest, let's try add A1. I think I've already done this earlier. Way worse. So yeah, that sort of indicates to me that's in the right place, but it is half a cell out. When I say a cell, I mean a 2x2 tile. So like, I should call it a tile, and then a cell is the actual single cell. Let me zoom in on this code because I know some people struggle to read that. Should be a bit better. This offset I do actually invert when we start turning round. So that takes you into the second column of the meta tile. +2 in the other direction. When I'm moving right, this is +2. Because each tile is actually 2 bytes. just to explain what I mean by that, it has a tile ID. This is a meta tile. That's the ID. It looks up this in the array. That's the actual tile on the map, on the tile sheet. And then this is its attribute for each one. So it's 2 bytes per tile. There's only 4 tiles in that element there. Scroll left. I knew I was asking for. I could have just left this blank. Just said if you get to the edge of the screen left, you stop moving and then been done with it. But I chose for the hard way, and I'm regretting it now. Sprites offset from the tile edge. Well, I'm not sure because the way we move left, right here, somewhere. This is moving the player on the screen left. But when it gets to something I've called scroll marker, then we call the scroll left. So it really shouldn't matter what position the player's at, to be honest. What does matter is the camera, in inverted commas, because that's what we use to seek through the level and find the exact cell that we want to draw at the time, you know. It was all working fine until I decided to make meta tiles. Then we all even got the meta tiles working perfectly, but I decided then to do the second attribute for the tiles, and that's when things got really complicated. Unfortunately, I've got to make it an early night tonight as well because I've got to drop my car off again. So, don't want to stay on too late. I've got to drop it off in the morning and wait around all day. It'd be great to get this fixed first, though. Exactly, Micro, exactly. Like most problems I get stuck on, I'm quite confident in my head, thinking, oh, I'll sort that out when I'm alone, coding, just by myself. But this one, I must admit, I'm thinking, no, I'm completely lost here as to what's causing that. I just wonder, is it like -1 from both of these as well? Is it something that straightforward? You never know. It's worth a go. We'll soon know if it's wrong because it'll be all over the place. But best to get to that bit of ground there. It's easier to see. Oh, definitely not. Definitely no good. In fact, it seemed to just have no effect, that. I'm quite convinced that bit's working fine. What that's doing is just copying every cell into its neighbour. The offset thing's a bit of a funny one to visualise. But we've got so many things named offset. Let's change it right now to current meta column. Each meta tile contains 2 columns, so now we know it's either 0 or 1. And then if it's a 0, we go to put column 1, and if it's not, we go to 2. They're very similar, they just shift over by 1. This could be where the problem is though. Nah, it's not. The address for the tile in the level is already worked out here. All this does is multiply it, actually by 8. It's 2, 4. But then we put it in twice, so we actually get 8 times A into HL. And that's because of we doubled it again because the meta tile. Then we finally start taking the data out of the meta tile and putting it onto the screen here. So DE could be wrong. It could be something to do with DE. Oh, it's a tough problem, this. 4500 is where the top cell is. I can tell you that is definite. Yeah, no, that's actually correct. It's HL that's the problem, which is getting put into that address. Okay, I will try. It is quite a jungle of code now. We've had a lot of stuff added and removed, but like I say, you hit scroll left when you're in the player moving left, and you get to the scroll marker, which is basically the center of the screen. So then it starts to call that instead of moving you. When I say instead of moving your player on the screen, you start scrolling instead. The very first thing we do is we check, well, we convert this edge thing, which was originally called offset in the code I got it from, but that represents the right side of the camera's viewport. So we subtract the width in meta tiles, because these are both recorded in meta tiles. That gives us our camera's X position, the left side of the camera in other words. We then set the scrolling direction value to left. No, sorry, we compare it to left. Oh, that was done so that we could do this just one time. So if it's already left, we just jump down to here. If it wasn't already left, we just set it to left and invert the meta column. The reason for inverting that is because if you're in the second column, I did just do this earlier, but let's do it again, just it helps me explain it. That's one of your meta tiles on the left side. Imagine you've got that on the right side. And if you're in this column here, moving right, and then you suddenly go left, you actually want to be in this column here, don't you? So yeah, maybe this invert is wrong. But don't forget, each meta tile starts from itself at the top left here. So when we look in and we want to draw this one here, even though we're moving left, we still have to remember to get it from there and then go forwards to find that. Yeah, I think I'll get rid of that inverting of that. And on the other one, scroll right. So now meta column just remains unchanged when you turn left or right. Which actually is correct. I'm just being stupid by doing the other way. Back into left now. Right was correct, but it didn't matter about that inverting thing for that. Because nothing had inverted, you know. Yeah. And I did notice if you start going left and right a lot, right was starting to break down. So maybe that was the cause. But I think I switched these. Yeah, so we're still checking for 0 and doing column 1. Column relates to that thing I just showed in the comment with the zeros. Yeah, I think that's okay. So where was I explaining from? Here. So we've set the scroll direction to left, basically, yeah. We're checking the camera's right edge. Subtract the view's width, and if it is 0, we don't scroll and we instead jump to move left again, to move him on the screen. That's if you're on the left side of the map. Here we check the current scroll, increase it by 1, compare it to 8, and if it is 8, we call this scroll max. And then we come back here, regardless of whether it was 8 or not. We load it again, in case it gets corrupted. It probably would have. Load it into B. Load A with 8, which is the maximum scroll. And subtract. The reason for that was to do the, you know, so that was to try and avoid the snapping we're getting when you're turning left. Because if you had the same, this scroll stays the same value, yeah, when you're moving left or right. It goes between 0 and 7. So hence we make A8 and subtract B from it, and now we've got our value for the offset in the next reg 30. That's what I don't understand, right? Oh yeah, all that's okay, I think. That literally takes the very first, the very final byte at the top right. Aha! No. It starts at the very last bit of memory for the screen tiles. And it just goes down through them, loading. Copying. So 2 behind it, the neighbour. Then we now use HL to point at the level. Add in the X offset. Thank goodness we haven't got Y scrolling at the moment. Only X is a concern. Just checking we have done that. It's a real conundrum, this. So anyway, we're trying to find the right meta level, the meta tile that we're in inside the level. We're only dealing with the top line here. Aha! Is it the top right cell we need to replace? No, it is the top left, unfortunately. So that is, I thought that is correct. It's quickly have a look at the right side where we're doing the scroll max. Scroll max. Ah. So here we done 4500, which we've got a constant for, and I didn't even realise. Plus 78. Now, there's 40 tiles. So because each one's 2 bytes, that's why we've had to go forward 78. I wonder, have we taken that into account? Thing is, we're just starting at the very start at the top left, so shouldn't matter. Yo, thank you for the follow, Yazai. Don't know what's happened to my notifications. Very much appreciated. Good to have you with us, man. I think I've got a problem with my audio. I think the batteries have run out. Maybe we could do something like that on the map to figure it out. No, that's not going to help me right now. Come on. Oh, level height meta. Aha, look. I've done view height. And it should have just been 8, which is the height of meta tiles from my level. That could be a definite problem. Yeah, that could be the right answer. Maybe there was a reason for it, but... So that was used for this DJNZ down here. Put column. Yeah, this is more like it, guys. This might fix it. Let's try that. Nope. Okay, so what's happened there is it's the reverse of what we want. So we probably do want to do, you know where I said I don't need that invert? Looks like we might do that. And then also it's a whole column out now. But that was why it was making no sense whatsoever when we were looking at it a minute ago. It seemed like things weren't even changing. Really odd. Ah, see, it done it on the right then as well. Bit of guessing's involved for sure, man. I'm not a pro. I'm a major beginner, noob. Not only that, but I'm not even using my own approach of scrolling. I had that one working okay. We actually did have this one working okay until we added attribute 2 on the tiles. If I could think of a convenient thing to do in a debugger, I would do it right now, but yeah, that's what I've been asking myself. I've got a horrible feeling that I had it correct, but I had that stupid height value wrong, wherever it's gone. Here. And then I've probably gone in and cocked it up afterwards. Yo, Emook, my dude. Man, you solved this problem for me last time around, but it was only with single tile sizes. But if you notice, when we're turning left, the tiles are copying each other on the left column. And now, of course, there's two columns, a meta tile. It's even worse now, isn't it? I think I'll be putting that inversion back in a minute. I was just about to say I'm going to push this to GitHub, Emu. You read my mind. Because I definitely haven't got too late tonight to stay on. Unfortunately, I've got lots to do in the morning, which I'm not used to. If I push this, just call it scrolling. Scrolling right, okay. Yeah, when I disabled the left scroll completely, Ped did take a look. We weren't doing scroll left when Ped was around. We had scroll left just doing absolutely nothing. Intentionally, if you know what I mean. We were just stuck doing right at that time. But it's no worries. I don't, I will probably get there eventually by myself. And if not, I can, I can always redo, start a new project and start from scratch. Try and get it working that time. The only thing that complicated it, I remember now, and I did say it earlier, but it's when we added attribute 2. Because we actually had it left and right and everything. I got it working by myself, actually. What's the way, Chromo? I'd love to know. Yeah, but I mean, you could build a rocket if you knew how to do that. If you break down every part and see what it's doing. My first instinct was that this was messing up. But then I kept thinking about it, and it does seem like it's correct to me. No, no worries, Chromo. I can understand that completely. Confirm with certainty. I can use debuggers when there's like a small problem, but when it's like this, there could be so many things to check for. It's a real struggle for me. I mean, I can see what values they're going to go to. I just don't know why they're wrong. I definitely can't say with certainty. I can say that much with certainty. Is that a paradox? Don't know what that is. It's an irony. I can say this with certainty. Look, it starts there and copies it to there. And then the tile meta level is in meta tiles. So is CamX. It gets added. It should be pointing at the right tile. See, the problem comes in when you've got this meta column, either 1 or 0. Then you also have a scroll, current scroll, and that's about it actually. So you're either in column 0 or column 1. You only want to increment CamX. That's the problem, isn't it? That is the problem. CamX is only getting changed after you've finished the second column. So what happens if you're 3/4 of the way through the second column, and then you turn around? It doesn't really know where you are in CamX. Do you know, my answer to that would be to rewrite all of the code so that it just drew from the map every frame. I don't know about assertions. Is that assert thing? I've heard of it in C++, but I didn't know what it meant. True that, Chromo. Sometimes it's nice to repeat 2 or 3 times, and then the third time you get a better understanding. When you're just a novice like me. Okay. CamX is actually a meta tiles eMOOC, which is 16. So you have meta tiles for CamX, yeah? And then you also have a column, either 0 or 1. Yeah. Emulator console. Is that C-spec log? That can't be it. That's no good, is it? Console in C-spec. I take it you don't mean that. No, like I say, I never claim to be some sort of computer scientist or an engineer of any kind. Just a hobbyist game designer, you know. Add text print to layer 2. Yeah, that was one thing on the list. But then we found that you could do that, and it kind of like bypassed the need for that, because we could go like that, for example. And we've also got list file here, so we can check like, right, well, what's player attribute 2 doing? 8097. You know, and there it is, 0, which is correct. When I start moving, it should be like 1 now. So why is it still 0? 8097. Oh, I should have looked at 8098 attribute 3, and that'll have the 2 bits set at the front. and then the pattern offset. But I don't know what values to watch. I've got the facility to check the values. Which is coming in invaluable loads of times. I've only learnt that recently. But I did it with some problem and it solved it for me straight away. Yeah, but that's the thing. I know what that value is going to be, but I don't know which value it should be. Do you know what I mean? The one that I was talking about was meta column, yeah, and scroll. Where is it? I actually hit the nail on the head with the problem. What it is you have. I just don't know how to fix it. You have meta tiles like that, and if you're 3/4 of the way through doing doing column 2, yeah. So you don't quite finish column 2. So therefore, this stuff never happens, where we offset the cam and the scroll and the meta column. We have got a fixed scroll amount of 8 or 7. That's right. And that's what caused the confusion. Before we had them, we had to write each of these, yeah? So like if we wanted number 17 is 66, 67, 98 and 99 on the tile map, on the tile sheet. So we'd have to write that in a grid of 4 every single time. Same with collision, we'd have to check for all the different numbers. But then we simplified it by using that so-called meta tiles. What is the problem? That's the $64,000 question, isn't it? So yeah, back to here. So imagine you're 3/4 of the way through. You've gone through here. You've done column 1, and you're now in here jumping through. Yeah. Thank you, Chroma. I am doing it. There's just a delay, I think. It's because my internet's bad. But imagine you're 75% through that. So it never ever finishes. It never resets that. But that's probably good because, like I say, you'd be drawing this tile here, and then you'd turn around to the left, so you'd actually want to draw this one. So I believe that's correct still. But also cam X never gets changed because that only happens after the second column, yeah? And I think that's the problem. But I'm damned if I know what to do about it. So because you've turned around, you should technically have to walk a whole cell here before it ever increments the cam. That is the problem, I think so, Chromo. Yes. Yeah, but the problem, I do that actually, Mook. Here, look, when we turn left, we actually do have to set the player's position, but that is actually separate and independent from the camera's position, which is what pushes the scroll. So it actually has nothing to do with that. Like the player won't be moving when we're scrolling, basically. He'll always be at the same position in X when we scroll, which is the center of the screen, or the middle. Well, cam X should be decremented. Or actually cam edge, because that automatically decrements cam X. But the thing is, what happens if you are only 1 pixel into column 0? Then you don't want to decrement. Ah, you've helped me. Because if I check what the column is first and decrement if that is the case. I mean, I'm only guessing in inverted commas again, but let's try it, innit? So all this code here happens just one time when you shift left. After that, it jumps straight to here. Give me a sec. I'm going to try and bash this out. I've got an idea in my head. Ooh, even better. We can do, because it's only a 0 or 1, meta. Oh, it's not called meta tile offset anymore. It's column, isn't it? Current meta column. Because that's only ever going to be 0 or 1. What about if we load B with that? Then load A with cam edge. Annoyingly, that means we're going to have to do this again. Sub B. So if it was 0, it's going to get subbed by 0. Did it need to be subbed or added though? I think subbed. Let's just do it again there as well, to make sure cam X is correct. Remember, that only happens one time. If not, it jumps. We'd probably need to do the same on the right as well. If this works, I'll be shocked, but amazed. Oh, still the same, I'm afraid. Damn, I thought I had it there. I did, yeah. I'll do it again, just so it's up to date. It's the one with just a load of dots as the title. Yeah, sorry, mate. You don't need to say please to me, my bro. Unfortunately, like I say, maximum about 20 minutes at the absolute most, and I've got to go. Because I cannot miss this early appointment I've got. Not a morning bird. Not an early worm. That sounds like a cool name for a game, Early Worms. Thanks, Emook. I appreciate the help, man. I've been learning how to use GitHub a bit better. What with pull requests and merging and stuff. I don't always have the time to do it and the knowledge to handle it properly, but that'd be amazing. Even seeing the techniques of proper debugging techniques would be useful, to say the least. This really seems to make sense to me though. If we're in column 1, we do want to decrement the cam. we don't have to times it by 2 because that's actually in meta tiles anyway. So it doesn't care how many bits a tile is. Do it, Dave. I'm behind on that. Test that idea. Sometimes I rabbit along and I don't even know what I'm saying. What did I even say? Yeah, that. Yeah, I thought that's what I was doing here though. Like, if we're in column 1, subtract 1 from cam when we turn left. I wonder, do we have to do that permanently instead? The quickest way, to be honest, is just to do it and find out. Don't let myself sit in confusion. Do you reckon I should... Well, to avoid that, I could either just not allow scrolling left or start afresh, you know, with a... and just have the tile map. Oh, look, I've managed to cock that right up. So definitely don't want to do that every frame. I can see why straight away why that didn't work as well, because it kept decrementing it by 1. What's happened is I'm making such slow progress nowadays is because I've jumped into this scrolling routine when all I was really trying to do was learn like the beginners, like the basics of the tile map, and then I quickly jumped into this with a lot of help, you know. So that's why getting it to work, fine tuning it is a real struggle for me. But I'm really enjoying it. You know, when it becomes working, it's a great feeling. Break it down into small parts. Yeah. Yeah, because right now it could be anywhere in this routine that's killing it for me. It could literally be any of that. Debug guidelines. I guess to do that, we've already got the tiles with a frame there. So we'd need to draw lines like where the actual physical tiles lie, yeah? Cool, it's much worse than it was a minute ago. I've managed to completely break it now. At that point, I thought it was down to the scroll and that column that was called offset a minute ago. Yeah, but now I've made it even worse. I think I need to delete what I just did just to stop that from happening, because it was doing... I hope that's going to stop that from happening. Let's just double check this. I think it was okay just to undo, just to delete. Yeah, we're back to how we were. Mm, that's correct, yeah. Oh, it's a real tough problem for me. Because like you say, the scroll has an offset called current scroll. And it goes between 0 and 7. I wonder if I should make it 16 instead of 8. And do the same on right. Yeah, I try not to change topic. I'm just wondering if that was linked. To make it doubly complicated, each tile you've got to remember is 2 bytes in memory. And that's just each cell inside, so there's, that's not each meta tile. But I genuinely think that's correct. It was working on the other one as well. Because when we go right, we just ink scroll, yeah? And go up, and then we go back to 0. Here we don't actually change scroll, but we take it, and then we subtract it from 8 to find our next reg value. And I've done a little visualization with comments, and it seemed to me like that was good. It would point you at the correct pixel. Rule that out, you reckon, yeah? I pretty much did, but at this stage, whew. I've pretty much ruled that out as working as well. Because when you're moving, the rest of the screen doesn't glitch out. It scrolls adequately. Well, I ruled it out, but then I went through each thing and ruled them all out. I'm on my second iteration of rulings. I'm convinced it's Cam X. Oh, where's Cam X in here then? Oh, here we go. 8BF7. So it's correctly at 0, and it's measured in meta tiles. Doesn't really care where the player is, this value. But it will start getting scrolled when the player hits the middle. Right, so now it should still be 0. I've only scrolled a little bit. And it is. Now it's 7. Yes, it should. Because it's in meta tiles. So we'll restart. You've got to remember the clipping plane as well. Clipping pane. So at the very top left of the screen where the black border begins, that's camera X 0. I've forgotten what the number for it was. Hang on a sec. 8BF7. So yes, it's still 0. Right, if I move an entire meta tile right now, so see his feet, something like that, it's 1 now. And then I'm going to move another meta tile. It's 2 now. Four. Maybe I just skipped one too far away there. Yeah, it's still 4. 5. 6. 7. Perfect. So that I'm 100% sure that is correct right now, okay? But it's when we turn left, we know that's when the problems arise. So it's now at 11. I bet it'll go to 12 if I move a tiny bit. Maybe it's wrong now, actually. Maybe it's wrong. 13. How did it jump up to 2 then? 14. Actually, I think it's okay. It's hard to check. It's hard to check that with any certainty. When you scroll left, it should be the exact same as when you scroll right. I'll tell you why it's hard to check. I'll tell you why it's wrong first. It's because if you're part way through that and you turn left, it starts scrolling left. But CamX has remained completely unchanged since when you were there. So it's loaded an entire tile in and scrolled partway through the next one. Yeah, and that's the only information I know. But the reason it's hard to check is because you can just look at it right now and it's all bang on. But I mean, there's no way of counting exactly how many meta tiles there are to the right here, you know? How many have I walked along since it started scrolling? There's 2. That is correct. And 3. This will be 7, one over here. So it should be 8 here. Ooh, 9. Did I... See, left isn't going to help us. Going left to check it. But that demonstrates it right now. Look, it's 9 right now. Whereas it was 7 there a minute ago. Well, it should be 7. And that's why it skipped. Now it's 8. It's still 8. Back to 4. It should be 0 right now. And it is. Once you scroll, it's only when you begin to scroll that it seems to be out of sync. Back to 7 now, see? Why should it be 7? Because that's 7 meta tiles since we began scrolling. So this is camera 0. We begin scrolling here. Oh, it's right out now. I think that's because I fell through the floor, to be honest. So right here, it's still at 0. It's got to move a whole 16 pixels before it gets to 1 from here. And it'll be on 1 now, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is. Oh, I pressed escape by mistake. Yeah, it's a tough one. 0, 1. So that's how a meta tile is 2 tiles width. 3. 5, that's because I went like a pixel too far. Still be 5, yeah. 6, 7. Watch, this is how I can prove it's incorrect. You see it's 7 there, yeah? Now it'll be 8. Yep. 9. A. Now it's C. That's fine. I just moved forward a bit. Let's turn round. Still C, but the camera didn't move, so that's fine. There we go. And now it's still C, even though I just moved the tile. B. 9. So maybe it's 2 out. Maybe that was what the problem was. Camex is definitely in meta though. It's not in tiles, so it shouldn't be 2 out. I've displayed font on the screen, and I have made a convert string to convert int to string, but it's a whole session in its own for me. You know, it's not something I do as a matter of with ease. Also, the font's huge. Like, I don't know how to shrink the font down, so you can't fit that many values on the screen. Yeah, I've got a long journey ahead of me before I can fluently write games in this language. What am I going to do then? Yeah, well, I might have to have a think about it overnight, to be honest. It's getting a bit late for today. Normally I'm on until about 2ish or a bit later sometimes, but like I say, I've got an early start tomorrow. It's a real shame to get stuck on something like that the whole session, but it's the way it is, isn't it? It's only lunchtime. I forget where you're from, Chromo. Yeah, you have told me. It sounded like quite exotic. I'm just gonna try sub 2 there instead of sub 1. Obviously, when we get too near the edge, it's gonna not work. Hey, Night Microman. Thanks for coming in. Much appreciate that, mate. I'm off to bed literally 5 minutes max. Appreciate everyone being here. I've got a huge viewer count today. So good of Shalan to raid. Oh, hello. No, we've still got that problem on the edges. Reduced by 1 though. Cool, I can't tell what's going on there. That actually looks like it's meant to be where my feet are now, that thing getting drawn in error. So it's probably way out. I honestly think what I'll do is rewrite. I'll start from scratch with scroll left. Just write it again. Sorry to disappoint. I know, like, if you're experienced, it's probably an easy task to debug these, but it's just all brand new to me. Good night, SP. Thank you very much for coming in, man. I promise soon we'll be doing some good stuff on the channel. Yeah, I'm going to leave it here, guys. I'm stuck. Overnight, I will have a think about this, and I'll check out on the GitHub in case you upload anything. I'll take a look at that if you do. And if not, I'll be here tomorrow, 100% trying to sort it out if I haven't already sorted it. Definitely hope to see some of you guys again. Some sessions, like I say, we go through rapid progress, and sometimes we get stuck on something like this for a couple of days. So, yeah, it's all good fun. It's all the same, really, isn't it? Just learning. One day I want to do some Sega Master System and Nintendo NES and C64. But I definitely want to get my head around this first. It's been great as usual, guys. Can't say thank you to Shalan enough. I need to go and raid him sometime. Perhaps I could raid someone now. We'll definitely get there in the end. I'm not going to do a raid, guys, because I feel knackered as it is. And I'm not set up to do raiding or anything. I'd have to load the web page and do it like that. But yeah, great to see you all. It's exciting for me. I hope to make some exciting content soon. So enjoy yourselves. Hope to see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye bye.